welcome to the show. What show is this? New. It's new. We're going to try this out. Welcome. I'm Sal. This is Ben and Ethan, hosts of Back Issues over on youtube.com/ComicPop. We're going to be trying this out, seeing how it goes. We have a show for you that has segments and topics. We're going to talk a little bit about a little conversation regarding the weather. I think you guys are going to be really excited to hear about that. And then we're going to jump into the bigger topic, which is canceled Superman movies in honor of the upcoming Superman movie coming from James Gunn. And then we're going to take some audience questions. Now, thankfully, I've already grabbed those audience questions. I took them over on patreon.com/ComicPop. People have submitted their questions. I grabbed a couple. We're going to have 2 questions. We'll get into that later on in the show. But if you'd like to participate, you can always join patreon.com/ComicPop for like $1 or $2, and you can participate to your heart's content. One of the things that I noticed is we got like 15 or so questions, which means we don't really need to take any more questions ever again. We're good. But like, we're still going to keep taking them because some of those questions I don't feel like answering. So let's jump into it. Here's our icebreaker for today. It snowed recently. And
here
where we are in New Jersey.
It also snowed in Florida.
Yeah,
and that's right.
Yeah,
and New Orleans. Yeah,
they
that's
got
great.
More snow there than we got here.
Yeah, so we're all gonna die sooner than we thought, and it's over. No, what I wanted to mention was
we all are gonna die. That's a fact.
Yeah,
that is a fact. Yes, we're spitting facts here at ComicPop Returns. One of the things that I wanted to ask though is in regards to being snowed in. You know, one of the things that we don't really get to enjoy as adults anymore is, do you have a snowed in movie? Is there a movie that you watch when you're like, oh shit, it snowed and I don't have to be anywhere and I want to get cozy and just throw in a flick? Do you have one of those? And if so, what is it? Ben, I want you to go first if you have something in the chamber.
So no, I don't have a snowed in movie. More than likely, I'm probably going to play a video game. I was recently home for like 3 days because of pneumonia. Yeah. And that's mostly what I did every day.
But just play video games?
Oh, yeah.
All right, what games are you playing? What are your pneumonia
what's your
games?
Pneumonia video game?
So, I recently got back into Risk of Rain 2 after like maybe a years-long hiatus. It's a very fun game. I also started playing a game.
You've talked about that, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
is
what
it
is
Rain
Risk
like
Rain?
RAIN or REIN or REIG? Yeah, which of the rains?
Is it like Rain of Fire?
No, it's rain that falls from the sky.
Okay.
I see.
Okay.
But Risk of Rain is a procedurally generated. So there are certain levels, and the levels are laid out the same way. So like you'll have a forest area, and then you'll have a deserty area, and then you'll have this weird like biome with levels of that look like weird potted plants and things. And those levels are always laid out the same, but it's different inside each one depending on like what level ups there are and you know what enemies there are going to be and who you're going to fight and all that kind of stuff. You're basically playing through the game, grabbing level ups to try and get to the end boss and beat him, and it gets harder and harder and harder as time progresses. So if you spend a minute in the game, like now the enemies are at level 2, and maybe you're at level 2, but maybe you haven't gotten enough experience and upgrades and you're just running around trying to collect things, and it gets harder. So it's a very fun, frantic game. The music is great. The playstyle is awesome. All the character archetypes are fantastic. It's really worth a good play.
Okay.
That sounds like a nightmare to me. Where I can't take my time because like the longer I take, the harder it gets. Like, and you have to like trade off between like spending time trying to level up versus like spending time like things getting hard. Like, oh my god, no.
So there's 3 different levels. There's the normal, regular rain level, moderate. There's easy mode, and then there's monsoon level.
I was gonna say, what's the target? It's gonna be like torrential downpour.
Drizzle is easy, like
yeah,
monsoon.
Yeah.
So if you go easy, you know, you can definitely take your time and you can definitely explore a lot more.
Why is it easy? Why isn't it like sprinkles? I don't understand. Why didn't
it's actually called drizzle.
Oh,
okay. There we go.
All right. So
drizzle, moderate, and monsoon.
I guess moderate. It should be like drizzle, showers, monsoon. Yes. There, I just improved the game.
I'm fairly certain that I don't know if I've ever actually played on the regular level. I've either played on drizzle or I've played on monsoon.
That's it. No middle ground. Again, it's
yeah.
all or nothing.
Why bother? Why bother with middle ground?
It's just here's the thing. You can much easier have a time like playing through if you're on Drizzle. And you can loop levels. So like if I get to the end of level 5 where I would normally like go to face the boss, I can instead loop back through and start playing the levels over again. Now, it's not necessarily the same level. It's going to be like different randomized levels, but the level gets harder still. So I keep all of my upgrades, but now the enemies are also exponentially harder.
Right.
So the longer you play through, the harder the game gets. But then you start to get to a place where, regardless of how hard they are, you've almost reached God status.
I see.
And it becomes this amazing power trip fantasy. It's a whole lot of fun.
I see.
So, yeah. And I understand there's also a really nice music soundtrack to the game.
The soundtrack's phenomenal. Like, I bought it and downloaded it.
Yeah, but not enough to remember the name of the person who did it.
Chris Tadulu.
Okay. That sounds
Tadulu?
Chris Tadulu.
Okay. It's a powerful name.
It's all like synthesizers and guitars and awesome riffs and bass lines, and it's a good soundtrack.
Nice.
Sounds cool.
I was playing that. I played a lot of a game called Death's Door, which is I
think I remember that one.
Yeah,
that one's sort of I almost want to say like a Legend of Zelda kind of clone, going after spirits and collecting them and bringing them to peace. Except it's not
like Ghostbusters.
There was a different one where it was called Spiritfarer, where like you were going on this very cathartic journey of like befriending these spirits and then adding them to your crew, and they would help on a ship. And eventually you would get to a point where you'd have to like let one of them go, and they would ascend and go on into a spirit realm and leave you. And it was apparently very rough going and sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen the game played. I've never played it myself because that's going to get a little deep and probably a little emotional.
Yeah.
So you've been watching people play this game?
Especially to try and test out whether or not it's something I want to invest time in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I like the certain concepts of games, but if the play style is off, I'm not going to want to play it. Risk of Rain is a game that's repetitive, but never boring.
That should go in the box if they made boxes for video games anymore, which of course
I don't know. I think if you called it repetitive, I think they'd just be like, "That no, don't."
Oh, I know. That. Yeah, no, it's really.
It'd be daring though.
Yeah, that's anti-market.
You give it a little bit of a, but that sells like the honesty of it. It's like, no, I'm willing to admit to the, but it's still worth it, right? Even though I, am truthful about like the repetitiveness.
Exactly. Yeah. It's acknowledging.
And of course, we've been playing some Helldivers and some Call of Duty Black Ops 2.
Yes, that's true. Tiffany just bit the bullet and bought us all a CODBO 2 on the PC and was just like, here, now we can just play it. And let me tell you something.
We
play that a lot, and we've just been getting through it. I remember just feeling completely inadequate compared to the rest of you guys when it came to doing couch co-op on CODBO, but put a keyboard and mouse in my hand, and now suddenly I can play Hardened, and I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I can actually kill these guys. I'm doing okay. Not these guys. We kill bots. We try to stay on the team.
We tried to play online with people, and it never found a match.
It's been like 15 years since the game.
There's like maybe 50 people playing. It's hard to
in the world.
Yeah, I think we wanted to do like as one person, you could probably find a match like Tiffany did.
Yeah,
like a group fighting a match with like slots for 4 people. That's
4 or 5 people playing that game and looking for one other game. We've actually just cornered off the playing base of people by 2/3? Like no one else is playing the game. Like, well, you're all playing it together right now anyway. Why would I create a server for you? But we are playing Helldivers 2 as well. Actually, we played it so much that I created a separate chat in our Discord server just for audience members who might be interested. One very, very enthusiastic person is keeping that server alive.
Really?
Yeah, it's cool. Unfortunately it didn't catch on with the audience as hard as I wanted it to, but Nimrod and Sabine are really keeping that thing alive. So thank you to them. But yeah, as far as snowed in movies are concerned, Ethan, you got one?
Yeah, I like Groundhog Day for snowed in movie. It's in the winter. It's about the end of winter, so it's like you can think about, getting through it and getting past it.
Yeah.
And it's just funny. It's so funny.
Yeah.
amazing performances. It's just like simple, and like
Oh yeah,
relaxing. Yeah,
it's a movie
and like
that I'm like,
upbeat.
upbeat, but also super serious at
Yeah, it
times.
gets like really dark, but then it's like positive in the
Yeah,
end.
yeah. Well,
And
this because
nobody
there's a
actually like dies
lesson,
or
like
anything.
for Phil.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I'm
and he learns the
shocked.
lesson. There could be a lesson where it's just like, and he never grows.
That'd be a very different kind of movie.
Yeah, if it was made now, I think that's probably what happened. But
It's one of those movies where I'm like, I am shocked that it never even was nominated for an Academy Award. Like,
yeah, it
I
definitely
know
should have been.
it's a
In
comedy.
hindsight, like it absolutely should have been.
Yeah, there needs to be like retroactive, like, oh, we didn't know what it was until it's over kind of award, where it's
Yeah,
like,
like we didn't really get it.
like, I'm sorry we gave Shakespeare in Love Best Picture kind of an award,
Yeah.
where it's
I
like
assume it was. I assume it was
Traffic.
partly done in by. Well, I don't know when it came out, but I assume it came out on Groundhog Day. I don't actually know.
That's a good question, actually.
But for
I know
award season, isn't that like a terrible time to come out because you're not really up until the next
cycle.
go round, and then it's been like a year and nobody really remembers it.
Yeah,
Right?
no, it dropped on February 12th, 1993.
Okay. So after
So,
Groundhog Day.
yeah. Well, February is like a lousy time to release movies anyway. So,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's when like all the bad like
All the
Valentine's Day
garbage
horror
was-
movie come out.
yes. Although, keep an eye out for Captain America: Brave New World, which is dropping on Valentine's Day.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, geez. I knew it was coming sooner than I thought, but I thought it was going to be like, I don't know, March. Wow,
Yeah, that
that's-
would make a lot of sense, but no, instead it's coming out on Valentine's Day. That said, I vividly recall the Ben Affleck, Michael Clark Duncan Daredevil picture dropping on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And I can vividly recall convincing my non-comic book reading girlfriend of the time that we should go to the movies for a date. And she was like,
Mm.
"Oh, that sounds wonderful. Like, what a great idea." And I took her to see Daredevil because I wanted to see
Nice.
Daredevil. And
Yeah.
I was
And
like,
what'd
"Come on,
she think?
Evanescence is doing the soundtrack. Yeah, you'll like it."
You like Evanescence?
Captain America is coming out on Valentine's Day, so I'm taking Tiffany to go see it.
We're going to find out if Tiffany is willing to do that or not. Now, Tiffany is, of course, going to see this movie and is down to watch it, but like, will she want to spend Valentine's Day weekend seeing it? Or could we kick the can down the road maybe 3 days and see it at some point any other time
Right.
Right.
in
during
the
that
month of
week.
February?
Yeah.
So I don't know. But
What's your what's your Snowden movie?
Oh, it's The Thing, obviously. It's I actually
Yeah,
ended up
that's
throwing it on when we were snowed in this weekend with my wife Tiffany, and we were talking about The Thing, and I also just, well, we should watch it. And she's like, yeah, well, maybe, and I'm like putting it in the drive as we're talking, and then the movie started, and she's like, are we watching a movie? And I'm like, the movie's already on.
Yeah.
And so we watched The Thing, and it, I have it in 4K. I'm now into physical media and 4K. I was always into physical media, but like now I'm apparently like part of a group. Used to be I was a movie
You're like a
aficionado because I
subculture
owned
now.
movies, but now I'm like, well, I'm just so sick of trying to hunt down a movie on some streaming
Yeah.
service only to
If I have
pay
to
them.
Google like what service is X movie on one more time, I'm gonna friggin' lose my mind. I hate it.
The worst is that YouTube is almost always an option in that listing, and it's like, yeah, but it's not.
Yeah,
Or
but no.
Amazon.
Yeah, it's very inaccurate. It's very frustrating. And it's like
Yeah.
Amazon with subscription. I'm like, oh, I have an Amazon subscription. It's like, no, not that's Amazon subscription. You got to have like the Amazon
different.
subscription plus like subscription to whatever movie service. I'm like,
Right.
Get
Yeah,
out
you
of
have to
here.
have like Hulu and or Cinemax or something else like that.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
Zip
yeah.
Zop or Kumbu. Just some nonsense BS that I'm just so tired of dealing with. But that's
Well, like, hey, do you have an Amazon subscription? You can
Yes.
watch this movie. I do
Okay.
have that. Good. It's going to be $3.99 to rent it.
What? Jumping into one of the audience questions, because I thought that'd be kind of fun to like break things
Sure.
up a little bit. Karsten from Patreon asked 2 questions. Figure this isn't something we really need to get too deep into, but how do you choose who will be on an episode? Is it who's available or based on the book? And I think that's interesting. Carson's referring to our flagship show on youtube.com/compop back issues, where I and 2 other hosts, or Tiffany and 2 other hosts, will discuss a graphic novel and break it down and explain it to people who haven't read it. And yeah, it really is a combination of whether they're available or the book itself. I find that I don't talk about Doctor Strange. I don't talk about Ghost Rider. I don't talk about independent comics because that's what Tiffany's bag is. So like all that is kind
Yeah.
of like
It's more like
cordon bleu.
the book might determine like the host, right? Whether it's you or
Exactly.
Tiffany, more
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very rare that I'll be like, oh, I don't want to do this episode with Ben in it,
Right.
as opposed to Tiffany.
So he's
Although
not going to get it. It's not his material.
it's just going to be lost on him. You know, his zingers are not going to be nearly as deep and biting as Tiffany's.
The only exception to that rule is if we have a guest host on.
Yes.
And not like a host who's talking about the book, but a guest on the couch who's going to be one of the participants that listens to the story, like Jason.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
When Jason is on,
obviously,
we will often, if ever, pick a Star Trek book,
Mhm.
which is much to our detriment. No one is.
I think that happened one time, right? Or maybe we did 2 Star Trek books. I can't remember.
We've done.
Oh, there were
we've
at
done-
least
Green
2.
Lantern, Star Trek, right?
We did Green Lantern, Star Trek. We did Star Trek, X-Men, and those have been so bad that I've been very afraid to talk about any more Star Trek on the channel.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a Star Wars book you
There was
guys
Star
did
Wars
with him
too. We did.
We love to do Star Wars books as well, so it's that,
Yeah.
and that doesn't do very well either, but it certainly does better than Star Trek. So
Yeah.
the next time you see Jason, it will not be on a Star Trek book.
But
Unfortunately,
the nice part about that is that I don't have much background and knowledge of that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's better to have Ethan or Tiffany on for that with
Ben's
Jason.
like, I got a break. I could
Yeah.
stay home. And play
exactly.
video games."
Yeah, play Risk of Rain.
Exactly. Risk of Rain 2.
Yeah. Play on Downpour. But yeah, I that's really it. And I have the chances of getting physical with Ethan grown or shrunk over the years. For context, getting physical with Ethan was an inside fan-generated joke about Ethan revealing at some point in the last 11 years that he has a background in physics and has often pointed out scientific inaccuracies in comic books, which are, prevalent and pervasive throughout the many decades of stories. So people were like, oh, there should be like a dedicated show where Ethan, a la Bill Nye, kind of takes a moment from comics and then explains it in graphic detail in a kind of entertaining yet educational way. This is a goldmine and a fantastic idea, and unfortunately, it's just simply not feasible.
Yeah, that's
Ethan, do you want to address that question?
Yeah, so I toyed with the idea for a while, but like the amount of effort that would go into it, especially now, it's kind of, it only gets harder the farther I get from my physics background. So I would have to like really do a lot of research, but you would have to anyway, right? And to make it like interesting, you need like graphics and visuals and stuff. So
yeah, it would cost a lot to make that show, and it would probably only come out like once every other month. And
and it would
have
also
to
be
employ Ethan full time to do it.
I mean, it would be hours and hours and hours of work.
It would take a lot of research and dedication just to answer one specific topic.
To do it like properly, right? Wait, you could do it in like a hand wavy way, but I don't really want to do that. I would want to get into like, the math of it, really, like to demonstrate like why this is the case, that like this would not work this way.
Yeah,
and, like maybe some equations and stuff. Otherwise, it's like, what's the point, really?
Exactly. Like nobody really cares how the anti-life equation works. It's not a real equation. It's
and the thing is, like, I already do it in the like lazy way on the show, right? That's what you get without research, is what I already am doing.
Yeah, and that's really what you want.
A dedicated show, the only reason to bother with that would be to go in depth, right?
Yes,
and to really do it, rigorously.
Exactly.
Which I think there would be like kind of an audience for that, but I also don't think it's enough to justify it because it is comic books, right? It was this shtick, and that's just a limited audience, right? And so you're looking at a fraction of that audience, because it's the fraction of the audience that like gives a crap about like that idea. Well, I'll tell you what, Sal, if you wanted to produce a show where you provide the lore aspect of it and you need a scientific consultant for the science, I would happily, help you with that.
Our main topic today, cancel Superman movies. We've gotten to this new Superman movie, which had been called Superman Legacy, is now just called Superman because, of course, Superman Legacy has too much baggage. Don't bother. James Gunn directing and writing this movie. Stars David Corran Sweat, a person I've never seen before in my life.
Unfortunate name.
I hate saying his name every time, but maybe he'll turn me around. Who knows? But before this, there have been many, many attempts to make Superman movies. In actuality, there have been there were 4 Chris Reeve movies, 1 Supergirl movie, which I guess technically counts as a Superman movie. And then there was Superman
Returns. It ties
Returns.
in the same universe.
Exactly. Superman Returns, Man of Steel, and Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, and of course, Justice League, which I guess, because it features Superman, it could also be
Kind
construed
of.
as a Superman movie. Kind of,
Yeah.
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 But
What about Brightburn? Would you consider that a Superman
No.
movie?
absolutely not. No,
Superman's
Brightburn.
not in it.
It's a send up of Superman or something.
It's but it's not in the universe. It's not named Superman.
Hell no.
So
Man,
no.
do I not?
Is it a
like,
derivative of Superman? Yes.
That's very true. Yeah. But there have been many different other canceled Superman movies, and I wanted to go over a few of them, if not all of them, with you guys. Just kind of talk about them and speculate on whether they would have in any way helped the Superman franchise. Because one of the things about Superman is like Superman 1 was a phenomenon. Like when it came in 1978, it was like, holy crap. I mean, literally, the poster was just the crest, and you will believe a man can fly. We're off to the races. Sets the world on fire. Reportedly, Kevin Feige makes everybody watch Superman before they make a Marvel movie, which I'm sure they don't do anymore, and I'm relatively sure he never did. But when I say that, I mean, it makes for good television, but who knows if that's actually true.
Yeah.
Right.
That's like when you hear, some film directors who are like, I made everybody read Catcher in the Rye before we made this project. I'm like, yeah, well, I ain't reading that whole book by myself.
I guarantee you, half of the cast got Cliff Notes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's
seriously.
like,
oh yeah, I read it. Oh yeah.
yeah. I would never.
It's so
but yeah.
pretentious. That's like one of the most pretentious things.
I
I've heard in
hate
my
Catcher in the
life.
Rye. I picked Catcher in the Rye specifically because of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
I think if you were going to do something like that, if you were making a movie and you had a cast, you would be like, all right, every Friday night. Actually, no. How long do movies last? Like 3-4 months tops?
Yeah.
Maybe-
Between 3 and 6 to 8 months. Yeah.
All right. So, like, if you were saying, like, every other night we're going to have movie night, and one person from the cast gets to bring in a movie, everyone's going to sign up for a movie if you want to bring one in. And if everyone wants to sit around and watch it, we're going to watch these movies. Like, after we film for 2 hours, that's going to be part of the shoot day. We're going to pay you for it.
Yeah.
I could see that being a thing where everyone brings a movie to see. But if the director's picking every single time, that is incredibly pretentious.
Well, he's not making them watch a movie every day. It's just everybody has to
No.
watch Superman, and then we can get started, because like that's the
Right.
litmus test. And I'm
Right. You have to understand what a good superhero movie is.
Right.
What they should all be based on.
Exactly.
It is the progenitor.
yeah
And it's
of the
where we're
superhero movie
starting.
franchise.
It's our starting point for all future movies. So it's
Yes.
like, yeah, it's like do your homework. is
Right,
one
but
movie.
Superman, the
I have a
the
better
Chris
idea. Let's all watch the original Hercules movies.
because that's the true first superhero. So
Oh, yeah.
but they made
Odysseus.
What movie would you watch for Odysseus? There's no. I don't think there's any good Odyssey movies.
Yeah,
out there. I
right?
mean, there must be.
Clash
they are
of the
making
Titans, right?
one.
No, Clash of the Titans. Does it have Odysseus in it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think he's in it. It's not about the Trojan War. It's about other aspects of Greek
Exactly.
mythology.
Yeah. But
I swear there's probably some movie with them in it. We've just never seen it.
yeah,
There was a
but-
made-for-TV movie. I remember there was one on NBC that was like the Odyssey. It was like a 4-part miniseries.
Yeah, that's
thing.
right.
That's the
I
only
remember
thing I can
checking
think
it
of.
out. I didn't watch it, but I remember popping in one time.
Yeah,
but
it was
yeah,
not good.
Chris Nolan's making the Odyssey right now.
That's
Oh,
right.
War of the Gods.
Coming in 2026. So so they made 4 Chris Reeve movies, which is also funny because like everybody loves Superman 2, Superman 3 is hot garbage, but Superman 4 makes that look like Shakespeare. And reportedly, Christopher Reeve was like really worried about being typecast, didn't want to be associated with the Supergirl movie that was made between 3 and 4 because of how poorly received 3 was. Hilariously enough, then they made 4, which was even more panned.
Worse.
Having seen Supergirl, I can tell you that like it's no worse or better than any of the last 2 Chris Reeve Superman movies, so he might as well have been in it. But they were apparently still going to make a Superman 5 with Christopher Reeve. This one was going to be about Superman dying, which will continue the trend of Superman dying in every stalled or canceled Superman movie until J.J. Abrams is involved. Superman would die and then be resurrected in the Bottle City of Kandor, which I thought was like, oh my God, they're actually making lore references? I figured they just use everything kind of like tangentially around Superman and then just make up their own stuff. But having watched Supergirl recently, they also used Argo City, which is a real thing. I mean, when I say real, I mean made up in comic books, but still it's associated with Supergirl's origins.
Yeah, they didn't make it up themselves.
That said, Argo City is in an alternate realm, not called the Phantom Zone, but instead called Inner Space. and they do have access to the Phantom Zone, which they go to, but it's just a mess. So yeah, they were going to make this movie where Superman dies and then is resurrected in the Bottle City of Kandor, and obviously that didn't work out because
that's a really hard premise to pull off, because
like,
if he wakes up there, he's got to be small.
Right. So like,
how does he get back to being Superman?
Well, that's what the movie's probably about.
Yeah, I don't know, but I do know that apparently the script does exist, and they did do a reading of it at some theater out west, and so they read it all together, and I was like, that's neat, I guess. Again, like,
sounds very boring.
I like the idea of script readings for movies that don't exist. Like, I remember they were going to make this horrible Green Lantern movie that was going to be like a joke, starring Jack Black as Green Lantern.
Oh my god!
And when they did the public reading for it, they got Steve Zaragoza to play the Jack Black role in the reading.
I imagine Jack Black would just read his part.
Right.
Well, he did not show up to that reading. But
you
they
gotta
do
pay
like
him.
Well, exactly. You got to pay him Jack Black rates, where it's like, we can afford Steve Zaragoza rates.
Man, can you imagine that movie? The travesty it would be. Oh my god.
Well, here's the thing about that, because like I do wish I had like a portal that I could reach into and pull out movies that almost got made. The chief among them when it comes to parody / humor based superhero movies is that at one point during the development for Batman 89, they were going to make a live action, big budget Batman movie, but with roots in the Adam West show. And they wanted Bill Murray to play Bruce Wayne. I'll pay double to see that movie.
Yeah, I would see that.
Would it have ruined Batman further? Absolutely.
Definitely.
In the same way that, like, do you guys remember when, and not when because we weren't around then, but like that they made a Dragnet movie starring Dan Aykroyd and Tom Hanks, and it was like a joke?
Yeah, I remember that. It was great.
It's great, but it was also not Dragnet.
Not Dragnet.
No, it's absolutely not Dragnet.
And Dragnet fans did not like it.
I'll bet they didn't. Just like that Batman movie would be like, yeah, I remember Batman 89. That ain't Batman, but I love it.
Yeah, absolutely not. Bill Murray cannot be a superhero. I'm sorry.
Well, it's just it would have been a joke. I don't know.
Yeah.
People said that Mr. Mom couldn't be a superhero either, and yet Michael Keaton is everyone's, so many people's favorite Batman.
For true.
I believe him as Batman.
Yeah, but when they cast him,
you would have believed
Bill Murray. Well, not a superhero, but a hero. He's a great Ghostbuster.
Yeah.
Well, you could have said the same thing about Michael Keaton. Not that he was a great Ghostbuster, but you could have said that, like, I can't see Michael Keaton as Batman. You know, he proved.
Oh, everyone said that.
Maybe Bill Murray could prove you wrong, Ben.
No. Bill Murray would never have cut the mustard as Batman. That said, so anyway, Chris Reeve basically said after the fail. I mean, like, look, Superman 3 is horrible. That's the Richard Pryor one for those of you paying attention at home.
Yeah.
After its abysmal failure,
Sal, they're on a computer. They can look this up as they watch the show.
But I know they don't. So it's an abysmal failure. He doesn't do Supergirl. Then he's like, all right, fine, I'll make Superman 4 Quest for Peace if I have more story control. That movie tanks. So now he's part of 3. He's part of 2, rejects at least 3 Superman movies. So by the time Superman 5 comes around, he's like, no.
What was the plot of 5 supposed to be?
Superman dies and then is resurrected in the Bottle City of Kandor. That's really all I know about.
That was the Bottle City one. Number 5 was supposed to be him.
Superman 5 is supposed to be about how Superman dies and then he gets resurrected there, and who knows what happens after that.
What year was that? Was that after the Death of Superman comic?
No, it predates the Death of Superman comic books, because Death of Superman was 1993, Superman 4 Quest for Peace was 87. So I'd say probably around 88, 89, which is also interesting because I'll bet a big factor in why Superman 5 didn't happen is Batman 89.
Is Batman, yeah. After that,
where they were just like, oh no, we can't make goofy ass nonsense now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that changed the game.
Yeah. I would have been very
It shouldn't have, because like there's no reason you can't have multiple style of superhero movies, but we know that Hollywood, when they see something like that, they're like, oh, it's over. We got to do that now. Everyone loved that. That's the only way you can make a superhero movie now.
Yeah. No, I mean, just look at the Amazing Spider-Man movie after the Tobey Maguire movie didn't get off the ground. Spider-Man 4 didn't get off the ground right away.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, well, Batman Begins is huge. Let's just make a Batman-style Spider-Man movie.
Yep.
Also, look
like,
at
oh.
Darkman.
And Darkman. Look at Darkman.
Yes, look at Darkman. Just look at him.
That came out in 90.
Yeah.
They were making Darkman probably while Batman was still in the works.
They were probably making it when like the trailer for Batman was coming out.
Yeah, Darkman comes out in 1990. Batman 89 comes out in 89. So yeah, they are taking their cues from Batman 89. No, Darkman.
Yeah, but they already had a script.
Yeah.
Yes. But that's the thing about like there's always these scripts floating around. Like it might have even gotten greenlit because like, oh, this is kind of like we can make this like Batman movie.
That's
yeah, we can make it dark.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Gritty.
So then the next one on our list is Superman Reborn, which is not to be confused with Superman Lives. Superman Reborn was Superman Reborn was the idea of it being more of a like family-friendly Superman movie. Clark Kent dies in the opening minutes. Love it. Kids are gonna love it. They're gonna be rolling in the aisles.
Definitely more friendly than Chris Reeve.
Oh
exactly.
yeah.
Friendly.
So he dies, right? But then he gives his life force over to Lois Lane, who then gives birth to him.
No.
What?
Yes.
No.
That doesn't make any sense.
So
what?
Then we get a brand new Superman within about 3 weeks of his birth from her virgin pregnancy. And so, yeah, that was an option. Apparently, Warner Brothers saw the script, said, we need to rewrite this heavily, removed the virgin birth plot, shoved more Superman rogues into it, including Brainiac, Parasite, and Silver Banshee. And
oh my God.
Superman would be revived via probably Project Cadmus or some kind of government angle, as opposed to the virgin birth
being reborn. Yeah.
Or he could just be in a Kryptonian healing coma.
Well, that's the thing, right? And the funny thing is, I think this is the script that Kevin Smith read that inspired his Superman Lives fiasco. Because if people are not familiar, and I'm sure you are, Kevin Smith, when he was being courted after the success of Clerks, they offered him some scripts to read, including Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian, and one of them was Superman Reborn. And that movie, he probably read it and was like, oh my God, because his reaction was basically like, this is horrible, it's stupid, with somebody's cousin, the author of this thing, trash. And inevitably is brought into another office. They're like, oh, tell them what you told us. And he's like, it's garbage. It's terrible. Somebody cousin work here, you know? They're like, okay, thanks a lot. And then he leaves, and then they bring him to another room with even more people in it. Tell them what you told us about the script. So eventually that leads to Kevin Smith getting a chance to write this Superman movie, which we don't need to spend too much time on because that story
more than a chance. That movie made progress.
Well, a version of that movie made progress. So
right, that's true.
Smith adapts that, changes it into The Death of Superman, or more or less Superman Lives. His idea inevitably was basically like Superman, loosely adapted the Death of Superman story. Superman dies, and again, we're 3 movies in of Superman dies.
Yeah. And I'm everyone's like obsessed with this concept now.
Yeah, they're like, this is how we're gonna get Superman working, is by killing him within the first 25 minutes of the movie.
Well, it's how we get away from Christopher Reeve.
Right, because he's dead now, and now he's somebody else. But it's like, you're not killing the Christopher Reeve version of Superman.
Why it's a different actor. Otherwise, people won't accept it.
Well, what? It's because the movie came out 30 years ago.
People can't imagine anyone being Superman other than Chris Reeve. He was so iconic in that role.
That's true. That is very true.
We got to get past that. We got to kill him.
We got to kill him off. So Smith writes his script, which includes heavy notes from producer Jonathan Peters, who essentially suggested that, among other things, he has to fight a giant spider in the third act, ditch the classic uniform, wears a Kryptonian healing suit, all that stuff.
Yeah. What if I take your movie and I make it completely different?
Yeah.
I love this because like the last 2 are both ones where it was like one thing, and then the studio was like, no. Let's take that, keep the good stuff, which is nothing, and completely redo it. Like, why don't you just start from scratch if you're going to fundamentally change every aspect of the movie?
Yeah, like why do you need a rewrite on a script you hate? Why not just write a new script or hire a writer you trust?
Because then if I rewrite it, then not only am I, more precious to the studio for being multi-talented, but then this whole exercise, this project hasn't been a waste.
Right.
It's not that we scrapped it and started
Right.
over.
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
I
we
did
don't
a
wanna throw that
rewrite. And we
away.
came up with something great.
Well, the
Yeah,
other
we're
thing
just
that I
slaves to the
unfortunately
sunk cost fallacy.
the other thing that I unfortunately know is that like sometimes they owe favors to
Yeah,
people who failed. And
yeah,
so it's like, oh no, this person who wrote this script I hate must have their name on this picture,
yeah,
whether they wrote a good script or whether we even want them in the process at all or not. It's why
yep.
you'll see credits like written by so and so and so and so with so and so and so and so or and so and so and so and so. It's just like, why are there 6 names on this episode of
Yeah,
like
I
Star
guarantee
Trek or
6
this
people didn't
movie that
sit
I saw?
down and, like, write it together as a
No.
team. Like,
These are
that's
not
not what
writing
happened.
teams. These are the
One
names
person
of
wrote
people who
it, and
wrote
another
scripts.
person freaking rewrote it.
Yes. Yes. And sometimes there are teams who rewrote
Mhm,
that script. And that's when you see like so and so as like one line. But if it's
mhm.
so and so with or and underneath them, that means it's another rewrite. But
Yeah.
anyway, so Tim Burton gets involved. He reads the script. He's like, I want my own people in here. No, throws away Kevin Smith's script. That's when things finally get off the ground and they get Nicolas Cage involved. Nicolas Cage, of course, screen tested, wore multiple Superman suits, which are now thankfully available in the public that
Thank
you
God.
can see. This is one of those things where they were like, Nicolas Cage is happening. And it's one of those things where I remember hearing it back in the day. Like I remember reading in Wizard magazine, like Nicolas Cage is Superman. And I was like, that's going to be awful.
Yeah.
Like,
What a terrible decision.
Like,
what a
that's going to be
horrible
awful,
idea.
but I'm still going to see it because they're still going to make it.
Well, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah. And let me tell you something. I've read Kevin Smith's Superman Lives, and it is just choked with characters and references. Like there is a sequence where Superman, after he dies, they have a big funeral procession, like in the comic books. Batman is like watching it. Like there's a lot of neat,
Nice.
cool, fun references and cameos, which I would have been uneffing precedented at the
At
time.
that time,
Like
yeah.
1995, 96, you're seeing a Superman movie with like Hawkman and Batman and Green Lanterns, plural, blows your mind. People would have hailed it as the greatest superhero movie ever made, or the worst. So that movie doesn't work out. Also, movies like Batman and Robin, The Postman, fail, and they're like. Also, apparently, the giant spider in the third act was another massive problem, budgetarily speaking, and so they threw that out. However,
Yeah.
apparently Kevin Spacey was supposed to play Lex Luthor.
I mean, they had a
Oh.
giant spider in the third act. Worked for Wild Wild West.
Well, that's the thing, is that they then just doppeled it into Wild Wild West. Jonathan Peters produced that movie as well, and so he got his giant spider.
Yeah.
I don't know if that helped or hurt Wild Wild West.
Well, it probably
it
hurt it
helped.
because it hurt the budget. I don't think that movie made any money.
Oh, no, it didn't make any money, but it wasn't going to whether there was a spider or not.
No, but the spider would have cost a lot of money
And it
to
did.
make.
Yeah.
So, which and wouldn't have helped them make any more money. So it's just throwing money in the fire, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Who doesn't love that giant spider?
I
Come on.
mean, ironically, now, yes.
Yeah, I like it in the
Like, I
context
didn't-
of the Kevin Smith story, but when I saw Wild Wild West, which was not in theaters, mind you,
Correct.
the only thing
didn't
I can
do
remember
that,
is Salma Hayek.
Like that, yeah. Yeah, the giant spider
Maybe
did
one
not
scene
put
in
bodies in the
particular.
seats.
Yeah.
Yeah, one scene in particular, but several other scenes as well. I mean,
Oh yeah, no, she's
Yeah.
smoking in all the scenes she's in. But yeah, I don't. I actually vividly recall the music video with Cisco.
Oh yeah,
more.
I really
than-
remember the music video. I saw that many times.
Yes.
Not on purpose, but it was just everywhere.
It just
on,
it was
like, every-
bombarded.
Yeah.
You'd
yeah.
see it in the mall.
They'd just be playing it.
Yep. And that also didn't help that movie. Like that
No.
movie was not well received, and it
Yes.
had the music videos going. It had the spider in the third act in the trailer. You could see there was going to be a spider. If you
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
the spider, if people wanted that spider, they would have showed up. They would have
Yeah.
gone to that movie, and they didn't.
No.
So
they saw
bad idea.
that wardrobe and they went, nah. So then they make Superman Returns, which has its own colossal failure attached to it. But apparently, they were going to make a sequel to Superman Returns, which I remember vividly the plot to,
Superman Returns
which is
again.
awful.
Oh,
Oh, really? They ruined it?
It was going to be
well, it's about
Terrible.
the sun, right?
no, yes, it's about
kid.
his son.
Yeah.
It's about the son. And do you remember that amazing sequence where Superman lifts a rock for half an hour?
What, from
Yeah.
Superman Returns?
Yes, from Superman Returns.
Yeah, where he pushes the thing into the sun. Yeah,
Yeah, he doesn't
or
push
into
it in the
space.
sun.
No, he pushes it into space.
He
Yeah.
pushes it into outer orbit of Earth, which
Yeah.
grows into a planet.
Oh, I do remember
And
this.
now it's a problem.
Right.
So
Yeah, they take
inevitably,
the thing from the last movie, right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
inevitably, his son is artificially grown. He has to fight him and then kill his only begotten son to save the Earth. Ha ha ha. Fart.
Memorable.
Anyway, the less said
Memorable.
about the Superman Returns sequel, the better. But
we're
it made
talking
300
about Superman movies that never got made.
Yeah.
That's one of them.
And this is one of
we
them.
said enough about it to satisfy the requirement.
Exactly. So Superman Returns cost $204 million. It made $391 million, which is technically a profit, but still, according to the rule of thumb of, you double the budget
You
to
double,
get,
yeah.
it falls short. Batman Begins cost $150 million and made $374 million.
Right.
So they went,
that was definitely a success.
oh, Batman,
Yeah.
get the hell out of here.
Yep. Superman's done.
Superman's out. Batman, you're in. So
yep.
that
Superman's
was that.
too old. He's unrelatable. Nobody can. They made one movie that people didn't like. Never mind how many freaking Batman movies people didn't like. Like Batman Forever was not well regarded. Batman and Robin was panned and was a failure.
Yep.
But they've been the Batman movie. They didn't give up on Batman movies. I mean, I guess they did for a little while. I don't remember.
They did. No, they considered the Batman franchise dead after Batman and Robin, which I'm like, really? Because Batman Begins wasn't too long after Batman and Robin.
Yeah, so they didn't consider it dead for that long.
No.
They got over it.
They got over it real quick.
Yeah.
But they were more conservative with the budget. So then
it was also a very different style and shift. Like it wasn't fantastic anymore. It was really grounded.
Yeah, and that's what made them think like, oh, that's how you do it, because that's how they succeeded with Batman.
Exactly.
But then they didn't go that direction with. Well, how long did it take before Man of Steel came out after Batman Begins? It was a while,
my god,
right?
It was let's see, Batman Begins. Batman Begins 2005, and Man of Steel was probably 2011, 2013. So almost 10 years.
8 years, yeah. So they did not do the thing which you would expect, where they'd be like, oh, let's Batman Beginsify Superman.
Well, now that's why this is very interesting, because they were then working on the next Superman project, which was Batman versus Superman. Now, Batman vs. Superman.
I didn't know about this one.
Oh, yes. Now, the Batman vs. Superman movie was actually referenced in I Am Legend in one of the wide shots of Times Square. There's a huge teaser poster for the movie that they were never going to make for Batman vs. Superman. But the Batman vs. Superman movie, I remember the plot was something to the effect of Batman kills the Joker, or he's going to kill the Joker, and Superman wants to stop him. And so they come to blows. But let me tell you about the talent that was involved in the Batman versus Superman movie that they were first working on after they scrapped Superman Returns 2. Mm-hmm. Andrew Kevin Walker of Seven was writing the screenplay. Wolfgang Peterson, if you're not familiar, directed Air Force One, was going to direct Batman versus Superman. Okay. And they tapped Colin Farrell as Batman and Jude Law as Superman.
Jude Law? Oh my god. What a terrible
I love
decision.
Jude Law, but no.
Yeah, not as Superman.
I know.
Crazy?
I would have seen that movie on opening day. Not that I really want those, but I would have been like, oh my god. So
why do we got to cast a British person?
Because Batman Begins.
I don't get it. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, we have to follow
every British person can do a good American accent.
No, they can't. Sam Worthington, who is not British, but is
I was gonna say
English.
He's not British. Yeah.
No, I believe he's
Aussie. He's Australian.
Still,
yeah, he's Australian.
Yeah, and I don't know what that accent is that he does when he pretends to be an American, but it ain't American.
Yeah, well, it's because he's not British. If he was British, he'd be able to do it. It's the Australian influence.
Australians can't do it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Maybe he's not Australian. Maybe he's from New Zealand.
I don't know. He might be a Kiwi.
I don't know where he's from. I think a lot of British actors can do American accents, but it's because
he's from New Zealand. Sorry.
No, he's Australian.
No, he's from New Zealand.
Yeah?
Yeah, New Zealand actor.
According to
are you getting that from?
Oh, I'm sorry.
according
Born
to
in Northern Ireland?
according to IMDb, he was born in Surrey, England.
Wait,
So
who are we
yeah,
talking
Northern Ireland in 47, and then moved to New Zealand in 54.
You were
so
looking at
he
a different
was 7
actor
when he
because
moved.
you
Who
were
are you
looking at a
looking
different
at?
actor because Sam Worthington was born in
Is
1976.
that Jude Law? Are you talking about Jude Law, Ben?
I'm sorry, I'm looking at Sam Neill.
I was like, Sam Worthington was not born in 1947.
I immediately went to Sam Neill.
Sam Neill
I mean,
is British.
Yes, he
Yeah.
is British. No, he's not.
No, he's
No,
well,
he's
I
from
guess he's
Northern
Irish.
Ireland,
I guess
and he's
Irish.
New
I didn't know that.
Zealandish. He's
Well,
a New
Northern
Zealand
Ireland.
actor.
Yeah, okay. So
Oh.
he's from the UK, but he's not.
Okay, and hey, listen, he did a good, and Sam Neill did a good American accent in Jurassic
I was
Park.
gonna say when you were saying like he didn't do a good American, I was like, I mean, I thought it was pretty good for Dr.
Yeah.
Grant. Okay.
Yeah, no, he's good.
No, Sam Worthington does a terrible American accent.
Yeah, he's horrible.
But
so-
but the reason that UK actors do good American, it's not because everyone in Britain can do an American accent. It's because they specifically train to do an American accent so they can be in American movies. Like
No. The reason why English people, if we want to really get to the heart of it, the reason why British people all can do good American accents is because that's how they really sound. And the British accent is just a
they're
big
all
joke
just
they're playing on the
affecting
world.
something.
It's an affectation, you see.
It's an affectation. You have to
Right.
learn to sound like that.
It's the same affectation that Americans do when they want to act like rich and they
the
talk like British.
transatlantic accent is not real. It has no true origin.
Right. It's not real here or there.
No, that's why it has some insane name that's made up to be a placeholder for nothing. But no,
And they're so into it. They're so into this lie that they even create and obsess about the minute variations in the fake accents that they adapt in different
Cockney versus
counties.
got
they have
Welsh is just a massive joke on the world.
Well, Welsh is a language.
Yes. They went too far. They got Tolkien about it.
Yeah, they created a whole language for it.
Yeah, they invented that language.
It started out as just an accent, but it got so indecipherable they just decided to roll it into a language.
I love the fact that there is no like bar on the bottom just saying that we're being absolutely sarcastic about this. Because someone's gonna be like, hey, they're
People
wrong.
are so uneducated.
Yeah, these idiots. Why did I watch them for 45 minutes?
Do some research.
Now that said, Australian accent is genuine. That is a real accent. There's no one would want to sound like that. So anyway, so
you just alienated a lot of our viewers.
Yep.
Did I or did I cut
Not
it out?
because they're Australian, just because they love Mad Max.
I think you just surprised some characters who think that Mad Max was an Australian movie. They were like, "What?"
I mean,
Mad Max in
some
Australia.
people would definitely be surprised by that.
Yeah,
I thought that was in Nevada.
It's definitely left out of the more recent adaptations.
I mean, it's unmistakably Australian, though. I mean, the second anyone opens their fucking mouths.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, so the reason why Batman vs Superman, the first one, the one that didn't happen, doesn't work is because after 9/11, Warner Brothers was like, this is really like it's too much. There's too much diciness in here. You know, you got Superman flying around. I don't think people are going to accept the idea of Superman like flying into buildings and stuff. That would be completely gross and egregious, and no one would accept it.
Yeah, because Superman wouldn't do that.
No.
Is there a scene in that?
I honestly
movie?
don't know. I've never read the script, but
I'm just wondering how close it was to 9/11 versus the actual Superman movie that we got,
which was
like
very
egregiously referencing 9/11
for no good reason outside.
I'm willing to bet it's nowhere near as close.
No,
and that they were worried about nothing.
Well, I mean,
compared to what they actually did.
Exactly. So after that doesn't work out, you know, we get the movies we do get, but right before we finally get Man of Steel, J.J. Abrams in 2003 writes Superman Flyby. And I remember hearing about Superman Flyby for years.
It's a terrible name.
I hated it. But J.J. Abrams, 2003, people are like, this is a good pick. Like,
oh, yeah.
I remember
J.J.
people on the
Abrams
internet complaining endlessly about JJ not getting his shot, being like, people, I don't know if you heard me say JJ Abrams, but like, that's all you need to know. As opposed to now where it's like, JJ Abrams, get him the hell away from this franchise as soon as humanly possible, lest he ruin it.
Yeah.
But
Well, he's a one trick pony, right? There's like people came to realize that like there's a certain type of movie that you want J.J. Abrams for, but it's a very specific type of movie, and anything else, definitely no. Hard
Yeah, it's called
pass.
Star Trek.
yeah, and the breakdown of J.J. Abrams'
Lost.
Superman Flyby is horrendous. It would have been horrendous.
What would it have been about? Was it a mystery box?
It had well, there's no way there wasn't going to be a mystery box involved, but the idea was it was going to be a little more grounded and a little more dark. The idea being that Superman hides his identity from literally everybody, including his parents, which would be impossible to do. So that's another element.
Sweet.
Because he's afraid of using his powers and hurting anybody. So it's a Superman that, again, hates himself, is a complete introspective loner, is afraid of using his powers, all that stuff. Lex Luthor would be a CIA agent who I guess is like obsessed with this concept of like a man from space and, you know, investigating his origins and stuff like that. So Lex Luthor is like an obsessive kind of like X-Files-esque character.
Sure.
Except they're successful.
Well, yeah, exactly. The casting concepts were obviously Josh Hartnett was very heavily suggested to be Superman, which...
Oh, thank God that didn't happen.
I mean, after Smallville, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is pre-Smallville though, right? This was
No. Smallville's like 2002, 2003. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was that the plot of Smallville that nobody knew he was doing it?
Yeah.
I feel like his parents didn't know in Smallville.
Oh no, his parents.
I never
were aware.
watched it.
No, his parents were aware, but everybody else wasn't. That was the dictum of Smallville was no capes, no flying.
Right. Okay.
Which I'm like, what are you, John Peters? Like, what's going on here with this? Eventually, they relented, but like the deal was no flying and no costume, and they got their wish forever until the last shot of the last episode, and even then, he's not really wearing it. By the way, the suit he's wearing in that shot is Brandon Routh's suit from Superman Returns.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Which
interesting.
I'm like,
random.
What? Yeah. which I found out apparently is not that specific story, but Warner Brothers just throws costumes on people, like from the
like,
archive.
well, we have it. We're not going to make a new one. We got all these costumes sitting around.
There's a screen test of Christian Bale in George Clooney's Batman costume doing the screen test for Batman Begins.
Oh my God!
It's like you could have at least dusted off the Keaton suit. Like you put him in this thing with bat nipples.
Maybe he's a perfect match for.
Well, as I recall, Christian Bale, when he found out he was going to be Batman, he bulked up to like an obscene degree and showed up. He looked like the absolute Batman. And they were like, what the fuck did you do to yourself? And he's like, I'm Batman. And they're like, Batman isn't a monster, dude. Like, we're not doing Dark Knight Returns here. He's like, I don't get that reference.
Well, you could.
But they were like, you need to slim down. So he had to slim down again because Christian Bale also was like, oh, my body is an amusement park. I fluctuate constantly between movies.
Well, I was in The Machinist. So
yeah, exactly.
I'll do whatever it takes.
Or that other movie where he's like a fat idiot. I can't remember. It's got Amy Adams in it.
The Boxer?
No, it's American Hustle is the one where he's like a big fat idiot.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where he's like, I'm going to gain the weight. And I'm like, or just wear a suit.
I'll take all the steroids. I have no problem with that. I'll take.
Oh yeah, no, I have no scruples about that. A couple other fun casting decisions. They were thinking maybe Lex Luthor, either Johnny Depp or Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, damn.
A bald Robert Downey Jr. being Lex Luthor?
That would have been awesome.
Sold.
Wow.
Oh,
they should do that now.
I know. Yeah. No, except no, they have a good Lex Luthor now. Like Nicholas Hoult, I'm sure will be fine.
So I also kind of want to see Tom Cruise after watching Tropic Thunder.
I mean, the intensity.
Yeah.
Right?
Of Grossman. Yeah. Oh my God. They were also thinking, obviously, you got to get Jor-El, Anthony Hopkins.
Okay.
That was the idea.
That's
it's
cool.
Like,
yeah.
Like, Brando's dead. Get Tony.
Yeah.
He'll do at least one.
I mean, don't get Robert Downey Jr. Don't get Robert. Oh God.
Pattinson?
No, not. Yeah, don't get Robert Pattinson either.
He'd be a terrible Batman.
Taxi Driver.
Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro. Hey,
Oh
don't get Robert De Niro. Don't get Al Pacino.
no, please no.
Yeah, we're only pooling the Godfather casts. We can get James Caan maybe, but we're not getting any of these other guys. Yeah, but yeah. Oh, the other thing was apparently Superman Flyby script leaked, and people were like, "This sucks," and Warner Brothers went, "They hate it,
Well, you
and it
could
would
just
cost us
rewrite
a
it, though.
fortune."
Well, that's
But
probably the bigger
no,
problem.
J.J. Abrams had too much cachet. He would have been like, "I don't get rewrites."
True. Yep. So they just had to kill it.
Yeah,
Kill it dead.
exactly. Just we got to start over from scratch, and they did, and we got Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman and Justice League.
Yep.
So that was that.
So there was no other way. There was
No.
nothing else in the can that was going to work.
I'm sure there were also other like hidden Superman scripts, and Lord knows when they were
Well, there
doing
were
rewrites.
scripts. They just never made it to the right people.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
they
the
never
thing.
made
Like,
it to
there
the
must
eyes
have
of
been something.
movieweb.com or wherever we got these information from. But
Yeah.
it's yeah.
So are there
it
any
was
of
never
those where
gonna
you're
work.
like, I wish that one had been made?
I think
It would have helped
honestly
if that one
Pick
had been
one.
made.
the only one. I mean, really, because like, there's no way I want to see Superman 5. Like, I'm done with Chris Reeve as Superman. I love Chris Reeve, but like, it's over.
Yeah.
So it also is with Superman Returns. Let that sequel go.
Well, the idea was so
same way.
terrible. Yeah.
The idea
just
is
an awful
horrible. He's gonna
concept.
fight and kill his son? Absolutely not.
Exactly.
Yeah,
The virgin pregnancy rebirth of himself and Superman Reborn. There's no effing way I want to see that crap.
What about the rewrite where they changed it completely?
Yeah. Well, then it being Superman Lives, the Kevin Smith
Yeah.
movie.
Right.
Honestly, and I know
That's
this might
the
be
one.
sacrilege. No, I want Batman versus Superman with Colin Farrell and Jude Law. I want to see that one.
Interesting.
Because you get 2 movies at the price of 1, basically. Because you got to cast Alfred, you got to cast Perry White, you got to cast Lois Lane, you got to cast at least one other Batman villain. You got Batman, Superman, villains galore, Joker, maybe Brainiac or Lex Luthor. That's a big movie, and with stars like Colin Farrell and Jude Law, I mean, they're gonna carry the weight of this franchise here, which would, I assume, not even be a franchise. Smart idea though, where it's like you start with the 2 of them, they fight, they become mates, and then you get a Batman movie, then you get a Superman movie, and then you get a Wonder Woman movie, and then you get a whole franchise, you get a whole universe out of this thing. But as far as Warner Brothers is concerned, 2002, 2003, Lord knows, there's no way that they were thinking franchises. So for them, they were like, oh no, we made
Yeah.
Batman vs. Superman. We're done. Those movies are over.
Right.
And Colin Farrell being like, oh, I don't want to be Batman again. I just want to play him that one time. Because that's what these actors do. I don't understand in this day and age them going like, oh no, I just wanted to play him the one time.
Well, actors are like that. They're like, I got to move on to the next challenge.
Yeah.
Well, did I win an award for it? No.
Deal.
Something else.
Yeah. Well, like, then go do that. And then come back and be this.
Nah, I don't want to. Not until I run out of money.
There
I
we
mean,
go.
Colin Farrell's coming back to be the Penguin.
Yeah. Colin Farrell's an amazing Penguin. He does.
Well, he probably also signed up for that, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, these, if people want to do like multiple seasons or multiple movies, like, they sign these people to multiple year deals.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's why we see them again. Not because they want to.
No,
they don't.
But what's funny,
I mean, they want the money.
The fact that Colin Farrell was in any way attached to the Batman vs Superman movie, I wonder if this is one of those things where it's like, one day we got to pull on the Colin Farrell chain and remind him that like there's some kind of subheading that's like, you have to be in a Batman movie. And so they were like, all right, make it the Batman. Get Colin Farrell. He owes us.
We're cashing in.
He owes us for Daredevil.
Yeah. Yeah. Thankfully, that was not Warner Brothers, but
yeah.
But can you imagine a crossover of Batman and Daredevil movie?
I mean, I'm at this point, I'll take a Batman Daredevil effing comic book, but yeah, that would have been amazing. I'm very hopeful, man. I don't know. At the very least, I'd like to see Ben Affleck's Daredevil meet Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man in Secret Wars.
I'd rather
I don't think
see
we're going to
Ben Affleck's Daredevil meet George Clooney's Batman.
Yeah, but you're not going to get that because
you're never going to get that.
Companies.
I mean, the fact that you got George
Secret
Clooney's
Wars
Batman
is going to happen.
Yeah, Secret Wars is happening. you did get George Clooney's Batman show up in a Flash movie.
Yeah, we
somehow.
That's true. Yeah.
One of
Anything's possible.
10,000 reasons that movie is bizarre. But yeah, so those are a couple of Superman movies that never happened, and I don't know. It's one of those things where I think Hollywood is like Superman. Yes, he's like it's like Hollywood's weird obsession with Dune, where it's like, well, every 20 years or so we gotta try to get Dune working. It's like what?
Right.
What?
Well, because there's just so much potential.
What does that
You know?
mean?
Someone has to be able to make it happen because it's so popular as a book.
Yeah,
It's so popular as a book because there's so many books, but the themes in it are pretty standard. I think it's just because the technology advances. They're like, well, think about what we could actually shoot now.
Yeah.
A long time ago, it was
Now
models and it was claymation, and then we had really bad CG in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
And now look at what we have.
Yeah. We can make it look worse than that with a higher budget. Because our CG sucks. Because we're cheap.
mean, it's only selectively, right? Like the
Yeah.
Dune movie actually looks fantastic because they
It
used
does
good
look
CG, like because they spent the money on it. Right?
Yeah.
You don't have
And
to spend
time.
money on it.
It's all about time.
Yeah.
But yeah. No,
Yeah, but no one cares.
Yeah.
About
But they
Dune?
don't have
a lot of people care about Dune. I mean,
they
Dune
made
did
a
pretty
show.
well.
There's a Dune series.
Yeah.
It takes place within the same Duneverse.
Oh,
There you
I'm
go.
aware
They're
they
making
made
a
a
video
show.
game.
I didn't watch it because why would
Exactly.
Did the show already come out?
I? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, what was it about?
It was like a prequel.
That's right.
I don't
remember
even
it was
know.
prequel. Yeah. I don't care about prequels. I'm not doing.
I didn't even
prequels.
see Dune 2.
Dune 2 is
Nope,
awesome.
Me neither.
I'm sure it's great. I liked the first Dune.
It's amazing. Definitely. Well, I bought it on 4K, so we
nice.
can watch it.
All right, we'll have to watch
It's
it.
so good. It's so good.
That's the thing. I was going to wait for it to come out for free. And then when it came out for free, I was like, I don't really feel like watching this yet. But if you have it on 4K, boom,
we can watch it anytime we want.
Down,
Yeah.
down.
Does
I'm not
Zendaya
gonna
have
watch
any
it by
lines in this
myself.
movie?
Does who?
Does Zendaya have any lines in that movie yet?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
she says something? Cool.
Yeah, she's like a main character.
Well, I know she's the main character, but you know.
Yeah. I mean, they were constrained by in the first movie by like, well, her character doesn't show up yet. They can't be introduced to her until the end of the movie because we have to get through all the stuff that happens before. You know.
Yeah.
That's the book. They're following the book. I mean, they don't follow the book exactly, but
No, they can't.
yeah.
So, so to wrap up, we have one more question from our patrons. This is from Jordan Schaefer, and he asks, if you had to have a daemon, like in the Golden Compass, what would it be?
The Golden Compass. There's
I mean,
something
that's
haven't
like
thought
asking
about
what
in
a
like
Patronus
decade.
is.
Yeah, no.
Well,
because one is an adorable animal that hangs out with you and does stuff for you. A Patronus is a extension of your soul. I don't know.
It's like a spell you cast. The daemon's always with you, right?
Yeah, the daemon's with you. It's like
Isn't
like
it part of your
like-
soul?
It is
I don't
connected to your
know.
soul or some crap.
Like if it dies, you die. If you control someone
Oh,
else's
yeah, that's
daemon,
right.
you control them.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think
but
so.
the idea is it persists.
Yes.
Unlike the Patronus, which is temporary.
Yeah.
But it is a similar question. I will grant you it's a similar question, but it's a little
That's
more
fair.
important.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is an extension of your soul.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is a creature that has to hang around with you all the time. You got to bring it with you places.
Yeah, I'm picking a falcon.
Ooh,
Falcon's
a
good.
falcon.
What are you gonna do with it?
Whatever it wants to do. It's my friend.
Right. But how would it help you?
Well, that wasn't the question.
How would it improve your life?
Well, yeah, he could get you things. He could like scare off enemies. He could bring you vermin.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay.
He can also tell me like the logistic layout, like it flying around. They can tell me like, oh, there's enemies coming from the west.
Yeah, he could give.
This is what I'm thinking, because to me that's a very practical pick, right? Like a falcon can do many things for you. So that's what I was assuming where your mind was going. Maybe not. Maybe you had.
I think it's because you're a big Ladybird fan or Lady Hawk fan.
Probably, but then I would have picked a hawk.
But then, that's
true,
not a hawk.
yeah.
That's a different bird.
Yeah, but a hawk is different. I mean, a falcon is like it's more strong.
No, falcons are smaller.
I know, but they're more. Yeah, no, falcons are better. They're more. They
get into smaller areas.
Yeah, they have more agility.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'd have to just go with a cat.
The cat.
Yeah, I think probably a cat. I'm very simple.
You already basically have that.
Yeah, but they don't listen to me.
You can have any animal you want.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah, you can have an otter or a polar bear
right.
or a clam.
Right? I would love to have a clam
Or
on
a
my show.
snail.
Yeah,
Or a
mhm.
tardigrade.
I think
Can
honestly,
you have a colony of ants? Not a
right?
single ant, but a
What are the
colony of
rules of
ants.
The
Daemons?
colony. Yeah, I feel like it has to be one singular animal. If you pick an ant, you're getting one ant, and you better not step on it, because then you might die or something. I don't know.
What if
It
I
only
pick
counts
like
as
a
you-
queen bee? Can it call in like
Other
subjects
bees? I don't
so I
know.
can get a swarm?
As long
Yeah.
as those other bees aren't other daemons, sure.
Right. Yeah. Like, could I use a queen bee daemon to generate a real hive of bees?
Yeah, I guess we'll just
that
have
I
to
could
ask
then
Philip
control?
Pullman because only he really knows. It's a mystery. I mean, if I had to go deeper, I guess I mean like the maneuverability, you know, the practicality of the Falcon made me rethink my choice because originally I wanted a Binturong. I just love those animals, and I'd like to
Oh
have
yeah.
one around because, like, you know, they have
Yeah.
the prehensile tail, they have the
Mhm.
sharp claws. If I really needed some kind of a defensive creature, you know, but they are big. And if he's like
Mhm.
crawling on me, like it's gonna be intrusive, you know. But Ben wants a falcon. That thing's gonna sit on his shoulder or his arm, or it'll
Mhm.
have a perch somewhere. Ben will probably just bring a perch like there. Now I can eat my lunch, and he won't
Are you kidding me? I can have
crap
a
on me.
backpack. It can hang out on my backpack.
See, well with a Binturong, he is the backpack.
Yeah. That's great,
Sure.
though.
It
It's
is
like
great.
a
All
warm
right,
backpack you're wearing all the time.
it's true.
Constantly wants grapes.
Yeah, he wants grapes, and he smells like buttered popcorn. You know what? Yeah, I've just convinced myself. I'm still sticking with the Binturong,
All right, nice.
Sweet.
Ethan?
but he's not going to be nearly as useful.
I think I go with like a rhinoceros. I think I could do some damage
All right.
with a rhinoceros.
Because it's the closest thing to a dinosaur that we have today.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
I mean,
know,
I assume that I would get into scrapes and I would need my Daemon to like fight for me, and I just want to see a rhinoceros just
Just
I mean,
tear
and you
shit
can
apart.
armor it up much like in Black Panther.
yeah, sure.
yeah,
They armor
mean-
up bears in that franchise. Why not
Exactly.
a rhinoceros?
right, dude. I gotta tell you, having seen rhinoceroses in like the flesh, they're
Mhm.
such impressive creatures. Like
Yeah.
it is a sight to behold. It's almost
It's
moving.
like a living tank.
It is. It's like a dinosaur. It's like the closest thing to like, oh my god. This
Well,
thing-
I mean, the bird would be the closest thing to a dinosaur.
I
but-
understand. Yes, but the conventional acceptance of what a dinosaur looks like. You know, they got the big fleshy legs, and you know,
Yeah,
they have some kind of insane, you know, musculature and skeletal structure. They're
and a big
incredible.
spike somewhere. Somewhere there's spikes.
They got a spike, yeah.
Yeah.
And that spike, like, it's not just like a separate piece. Like, it blends right into the whole face.
Yeah.
So cool. No, yeah, that's a fair point. I wasn't thinking defensively.
I mean,
But you
think
know
about this.
Where you went
The
wrong.
Binturong can also like hang out with you. It's a
Yeah.
cozy companion.
You can't like hang out with the rhinoceros. He's going to come out
Why
only
not?
during. Well, because you got to accommodate his space.
How is he going to get in most buildings?
I think other people are going to accommodate him. He's a rhinoceros.
Well, and the other thing is, you're not going to be the only person with a rhinoceros Daemon. So, like, everything in our lives will be made and
Would be
built to
completely
accommodate
different, yeah.
gigantic, impossible creatures.
I want to say in the movie, I seem to remember they could like move and float. They didn't have to maintain the one shape. I think they could like.
Yeah, they
morph
became like
and flow and
smoke or
stuff.
something.
Yeah. I think-
Yeah.
I did not
I,
remember that.
I,
But then
I
again,
barely
never saw
remember that movie.
Yeah, no, I never.
And
I
they
would
weren't.
never.
They were
read the
like
book.
they were like glowing like outlines of their things, weren't they? Like they weren't
Not all
like,
the time.
fully
No, because like I remember there was like a ferret or something.
Oh, yeah.
What happens if you have a blue whale as a daemon?
Well, then the wizard
Right.
council or whatever the hell makes you have that tells you to go home and try again. They're like, all right, you're not gonna take this
Reroll
seriously.
your Daemon. You can't have-
Reroll your Daemon. You can't have it.
I got a whale shark this time.
God damn it. All right, you don't
All
get
right,
it.
well, you're living by the coast.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, you know what? Yes. Enjoy your whale shark.
There you go. Yeah,
Woohoo!
I'm a fisherman.
Right.
I would. The most beneficial thing to me would be a sea-based Daemon.
Yeah.
How narrow-minded of you to assume that it's a useless, terrible pick.
And
Well,
yet,
they're
the
armored.
most deadly animal is the hippo.
Yes.
I thought about Hippo. Hippo was my second choice because
yeah.
of that one fact. Because of how deadly
Because
they
they're the
are.
most dangerous creature in the animal kingdom. No, hippos are a nightmare. Rhinos are cooler. You
Yeah,
made the right
rhinos.
choice.
Well, rhinos are more versatile. You know, the hippo without the water, they're gonna.
You
have
need the
problems.
water angle. They're more
Yeah.
dangerous in the water than out of the water.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Plus, there's all that poop.
Oh God, yeah. And it's like they spray it everywhere. It's a whole thing.
It's true with the propeller.
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
propeller. Yeah, we've all seen
Yeah.
the viral video of that. Yeah.
I got to see that in Disney World.
Oh yeah,
Oh, lucky you.
that's great.
On the Jungle Cruise, they made a fully functioning fake hippo that just shit everywhere at a 360 thing. Oh, it's Jello. This is truly the most magical place on earth.
I think it was probably on the safari, but that would be
Oh,
a
the
good
safari
idea.
adventure.
Yeah, it was on the safari.
Well, that's it. See you next time.